What is going on, everybody? Wow. 500 subscribers. We're actually at like almost 560 now, I think. 556 or something like that. I don't know. It's wild. Obviously to some people, 500 is not that much, but to me, I mean, I started this back in March, I think it was, is when I really started uploading videos. And hey, people are watching them. I'm having fun making them. So, it's all good. I'm going to keep doing it. It's kind of like therapy for me, oddly enough. But yeah, so I wanted to do a live stream. I thought it would be pretty fun. I was live streaming a little bit on Kick, kind of testing out some of the settings and stuff like that, because it's actually a whole other thing. Like I was having to get used to making videos and editing them and uploading them and audio and video and all that. And then I messed around with live streaming and I was like, all right, this is a whole different ball game. So that being said, please be gentle on me. I'm new. I'm a virgin. Okay. So yeah, I figured we just hang out today. Really, it's just like to say thank you for everybody who's come along for the journey so far. If you have any questions, we're going to start off with like a live Q&A. I sent out I did a bunch of posts collecting questions from people across like email and Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and everything like that. So I compiled a list of some of the good ones. I had somebody do that for me. So I have an idea of what some of them are, but some of them are completely new to me because I had to dump them into a Word doc. So I try not to cheat. I promise. Try not to cheat. That way you get like a good live reaction from me and an honest answer. But that being said, if you want to drop a chat, and I'll see it, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat over here. Again, I'm new, so bear with me. But if I see a question pop up, I'll go ahead and answer it. If you want to just say, hey, go ahead and just say, hey. That's cool too. You can ask me anything, my opinion on things, life, jiu-jitsu, manhood, masculinity, whatever, really. Anything that I've made videos on and stuff like that is probably fair game for anybody to ask. So yeah, I'm just gonna check a couple things and then kind of we'll just get going. So I appreciate everybody being here. Like I said, I'm just sipping on some coffee. So yeah, all right. Let me get into it here. Let me pull up my document here and see. We'll just go right off the top with some questions here, and then after, like I said, after we go through the questions, then I have a couple videos that we'll do like a live react to. I think they're pretty interesting. I tried to do a little bit of a mix of like some modern, like relevant topics, like some recent news type stuff, and then some funny ones too. I think I have a couple ones in there, at least one that's a little bit lighthearted. So we'll just vibe and kind of mix it up some. So pull up the old document here. All right. So the first, these are all just like viewer questions that people have sent in, and I've kind of compiled this list here. The first one starts off pretty easy. It says, what inspired you to start your YouTube channel? I kind of always felt like I just had something more to say. And that's kind of odd, maybe for some people, but I just felt like I always had like some opinions on things and no one really to hear me out often, or just to sit there and listen to me yap. So the nice thing about YouTube is I could put out all my opinions out there, and if people agree with them or resonate with them, they subscribe and they keep watching. If they don't, then I'm not bothering them at all. They just ignore my channel and move on, So I think it's like a really cool outlet for for me to start this like little bit of a community and talk about issues that are important to me and I think are important to other people out there, specifically men. You know, my demographic is like 95% men. So I don't really bother speaking to women. This channel is mostly always going to be aimed at men. And if I do any videos that are more aimed at women, then it's going to be from the relationship side. And hopefully like helping to understand, you know, helping them to understand men better, you know? So the inspiration really came from, I've always felt like I had something to say. And and I didn't want to like bore, you know, the people that are close to me having to like listen to me yap all the time. So yeah, that's that. Thank you for the question. That was a good one. So the next one, what's been the hardest part about growing your channel so far? Man, there's been a lot of difficulty, actually. Like, for one thing, just the technical side of things, getting your audio, your video, and your lighting correctly. And this is like a super amateur setup, and I'm learning the more I go. That's just the filming part. And then I gotta edit. So I had to like learn how to do all this editing. And so far I've kept it real basic. For two reasons. Like, with my edits, I don't do a whole lot of like B-roll and stuff like that. Number one, because I'm not very good at it yet. And then number two, I really want to make sure that I keep the scope of my channel and like the workflow easy enough for me so that I don't get burnt out. Like, I want to be able to look forward to making one video and putting out one video a week. And if the scope expands too much, and I'm putting hours into like the editing side of a video, I'm afraid that I'll get burnt out. So probably, you know, I'll probably, as my skills grow, I'll do more fancier things with the video. But also, I think like right now, like YouTube is at a place where people are looking for authenticity. So, you know, there's people out there that get hundreds of thousands of views and their camera's not great and their microphone's not great and they're just like sitting in their car talking. So I think the pendulum's kind of swung from like Mr. Beast setups to just a person with a shitty microphone and a potato for a camera, you know? That's the technical side of things. The other side is, and I knew this was going to happen because it's just like when you talk to people, or if you listen to any other YouTubers out there, I don't even call myself a YouTuber, but when they talk about starting a YouTube channel, there's this thing where you pour your heart and your soul into a topic, and you make your video and you put it out there, and it's like crickets, you know? Like 10 people watch it, 20 people watch it, 7 people watch it, and you're like, dang, like I thought that was good. I had something to say. But you're fighting a whole bunch of different things. You're fighting like the algorithm. People got to think your thumbnails are even interesting before they even click on the video. You know, there's all this other stuff to it. And it takes a long time to start like developing your audience. So at first it would be like you're just on the corner shouting out into a crowd, but everybody's just doing their thing. And then after a while, somebody stops to listen to you, and then 2 people stop to listen to you, and then 3, and then all of a sudden you start to have this crowd. And I know that it gets better, but sometimes that can be, even though I know, it can be a little discouraging sometimes. But the nice thing is, when you put out a video, it's out there forever. So, you know, maybe in the first couple days it gets 20 views, but when I go back a couple months later and I look at it, it has, I know, a couple hundred views. So there's ways to stay motivated. But yeah, so thanks for the question. That's a good one. Let's see. Next, where do you see the channel going next? Are you aiming for 1,000 subs by the end of the year? That's a good question. Awesome. Yeah, sure. I'd love 1,000 subs tomorrow, you know? Realistically though, I set the goal when I first started, like I think I started the channel in January, but didn't really start to post until March. But I didn't really have a goal. And I think like 2 months in, so maybe by like May, I was like, I would like to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. And obviously I already hit that. We broke that like a couple weeks ago. And like I said, we're at like 550 or something like that right now. So would it be pretty sweet to hit 1,000 by, January 1st? Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. I think I can do it. So I think it's a realistic goal. So yeah, I think I would like to hit 1,000 by January 1st. There's the other thing too, like when it comes to monetization, in order to start making money on YouTube, even if it's like $1, you have to hit certain metrics. And the first hurdle is you have to hit 1,000 subscribers and you have to hit 4,000 hours of watch time. So when somebody watches your video and they're engaged, which there's all sorts of things. I'm not really sure exactly how YouTube knows, but like YouTube will know if you have your video up in 2 different browsers or whatever. They know. So anyways, when somebody watches your video, every minute they spend watching your video counts towards that 4,000 hours of watch time. Once you've hit those 2 things, then you're eligible for monetization. And then I think you have to like apply and be approved and all that stuff. So, yeah, the first goal is 1,000 by January, I think. And then the 4,000 hour watch time's probably realistically going to take a year. So that'll be the goal. Hitting that in 2026 would be the next goal after that. And that's going to be a big goal. But yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty awesome. And sometimes all it takes to hit the subscriber goal is just like one viral video pops off and you hit that 1,000 subscribers. But it's the 4,000 watch hour time, I think, that's like the real hurdle. So good question. Okay, what's next? Let me take a little sip here. All right, next question. How do you deal with self-doubt or setbacks in your own life? Shit. Well, I think self-doubt has been something that I have always had. I've always had and I've always struggled with self-doubt since forever, But I think one of the interesting things about it is somewhere along the way, I developed a chip on my shoulder. And most likely it's from, getting bullied pretty bad in school, like in my younger days, like elementary school and stuff. And the odd thing is that I think when somebody gets bullied, one of 2 things can happen. It can either like break their confidence and they're never confident ever again, or it can do sort of the opposite and it could give somebody a chip on their shoulder where they really don't care what people think about them. And I think I developed more of that than I did being super insecure and stuff like that. So now what happens is when I self-doubt myself, when I have self-doubt, it almost kind of makes me mad. And I am almost like, oh, you don't think I can do that? Watch this. I'll prove you wrong, right? Hold my beer. That I think is just something that developed in my personality like a long time ago. And then now, whenever I'm challenged with self-doubt, it literally comes across as a challenge to me. And other odd thing is, like, I played games a lot. Like, I still video game a fair amount, but like when I was young, like I video gamed quite a bit. And I really see life like a video game. And it helps me sort of strategize. And somehow, as weird as this sounds, it kind of takes the pressure off myself for like making the right decision. Because I don't know, in a video game, you make the wrong decision and you sort of like load the game again and you try again a different way. And I know you can't load the game again in life, but for whatever reason, it just made me sort of not put a lot of pressure on myself and not take things so seriously, right? Life is a game. I'm trying to win, just like everybody else is trying to win. Setbacks are a little bit more difficult than the self-doubt. But thankfully, I have enough anxiety that I'm always planning for setbacks. And I kind of have always strategized my way around things like, okay, so if this happens and it doesn't work, then I'm just going to do this over here. And I probably think about that stuff more than is healthy, but it has served me well so far in life, where setbacks don't really affect me for that long, because so far I've always seen them coming to a certain degree and have planned at least a little bit accordingly. Next question. Are you planning to write more about men's issues beyond YouTube, like books, courses, or events? That's a good question. That is a good question. So, I don't know about courses or events. Events would be pretty sweet, like eventually to have like just like a men's retreat type thing. But that's not really in the cards right now. I am writing a book, and the book is pretty close to being done. It's also another amazing thing about, I like this type of stuff, but I was like, I've never written a book before. How do I write a book? Okay, well, you write it, and then there's all these formatting issues, like it needs to be this font and this spacing and this if it's going to go on Kindle, and then if it's going to be a print, it's got to be this format and all that stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, like this is a lot, but I also like learning it too. So, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's like about men's issues though. It's more just about life and life lessons. Going back to that first question about just like what inspired me to do this YouTube channel, I feel like I've like lived like 1,000 different lives, you know. I am getting old, be 43 at the end of the year, which is pretty crazy. But when I look back, there's so many things that I have done that I'm almost like, oh my God, yeah, I forgot I did that, you know? And bad experiences too, you know? And so I think the book will resonate with a lot of people, because it really is just life lessons, but it's also fairly easy read, kind of like a little philosophical and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, that is the plan, and it will be coming out, you know, this year, I think. Definitely this year. I got to decide if I'm going to do just Kindle at first and then roll out like a smaller batch of print, because I have no idea still. I have no idea how the you know, the print side of things works. Like, I don't know, like, do you have to order 100 of them, and are they going to sit in my apartment, and am I going to ship them out myself? You know, like, I don't know all that stuff, but it's a journey, and it's fun to even be messing around with it. So next question. Do you think you'll ever do regular live stream Q&As or just special events? I think this is pretty fun to me. So, and it was pretty fun when I did it a couple times on Kick. So I think the goal will be that I want to do live streams, not necessarily just Q&As, but just like live streams, like react to content and hang out with people and stuff like we're going to do after this Q&A section. I think I want to do that. The goal will be weekly. And I have to figure out like what day is going to work for me and stuff like that. Because if I'm going to do it, I want to stick to a schedule. I don't want it to be just like, you know, one Thursday I do it and then a random Saturday I do it. No, it's going to be, I'm thinking it's probably going to be the same time as this one on so Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time, I think. But it all depends how this one goes and all that stuff. So, but if I don't do that, then yeah, I think every goal, I'll do a live stream. Probably like, you know, if I hit the 1,000, then we'll do a 1,000 subscriber live stream and stuff like that. Just to hang out and say thanks and answer these questions, which is pretty cool. So, how do you personally... Sorry, I went to public school and my reading skills are not great. How do you personally define being a man today, especially compared to the stereotypes you critique? Yeah. I think I don't know about critiquing. I guess I do. I don't know if I've done a whole lot of videos critiquing men, but I definitely feel like in my personal life, I critique men quite a bit because I'm not perfect by any means, but I think I try to be the best version of me that I can be. And I think there's a lot of labels nowadays that get attached to everything pretty much. But when it comes to like masculinity and being a man and manhood and fatherhood and all that stuff, I think it's really hard right now as a man. And definitely my algorithm is all fucked up. Like my algorithm shows me the most like toxic stuff all the time. And I have to remember that that's not truly the way everybody feels. You know what I mean? But man, it gets me riled up. So, I don't know if I necessarily know how to define it. I think I'm a little bit old-fashioned in that sense, where like I think a man should be capable, strong, physically and mentally, and a provider. But I don't know that part, like the whole like protector and provider thing. I think protector is still relevant. Provider is different nowadays though. And just because like you're providing, but if you're like, let's just talk about like a more traditional family dynamic. So like, let's just say husband and wife and kids, right? Like nowadays, you know, women are out in the workforce and they're making just as much money, if not more. They're just as educated, if not more. So you're not really the sole provider anymore, which is fine. But I think that there's other ways to provide as a man that probably is where we're like morphing into, right? You know, back in the day, you could support a whole family on like a factory job, right? Like that's not the way it is anymore. So, but I think instead you can provide stability to your relationship and to your kids. I think that's one of the things that men are really good at. Healthy men are really good at, is just sort of that ability to be steadfast. And I don't mean emotionless. I mean, when things are crazy, and the people in your family are depending on you and they're coming to you and they're upset or they're stressed out, I think one of the benefits of being a man and being very rational and logical is we are more equipped to just be the rocks that the waves crash against until the storm goes away. I think that that's important. So as a man, I think you should be able to protect yourself and protect your family. I'm a big proponent of that. I run a Jiu Jitsu school, so I've been teaching Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for, I don't even know, 20 years or something like that. And carry a gun, shoot guns, all that stuff. So I think it's very important that you know how to defend yourself and defend your family. That's super important. And then the capable part is, I think everybody should look at life as a chance to collect as many skills as possible, and sometimes it's going to be important skills like, I don't know, how to start a fire and stuff like that. But then other times I'm collecting skills like how to edit this YouTube video, and I'm pretty sure like if you went back in the 50s and I was like, well, I don't know how to fix that car, but I do know how to edit a YouTube video, all the guys would have been like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're not a man. But times are changing, and I think the more important thing is not necessarily what skills do you currently know, but just having the mindset of always wanting to collect more skills, be more capable, learn more things. I think that's so important. And honestly, to me, it makes life interesting. So there's like a bonus to that. So, what's been the hardest video topic for you emotionally to cover? I think the hardest video for me to make was one that I'm not sure if the title is still this, but when it first came out, it was called Adventure is the Catalyst for Growth. And it was a video where I basically described the lowest period in my life. And in the video, I walk through the events pretty much, and it kind of like took me back to that time period a little bit. It took me back to that time period, and I relived it a little bit, and it was a little bit like raw. I think like if you watch the video, you can see that it has a different tone and a different energy than any of the other videos. But I think it was probably one of the realest ones. And that time period, even though it was the worst in my life, was also like such a fundamental shift and a change in my life for the better overall. So, it's kind of that, there's like a happy ending to it or whatever, but that I think would probably be the hardest video topic so far that I've made. Other videos I've been like passionate about, and I get a little spicy sometimes, but like it's not hard emotionally, That one was, though, for sure. How we doing? Everybody hear me okay? Audio good? Do I look good? All right. All right, next question. And again, guys, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. Say hi. Do whatever you want. I'm going to try to keep an eye on it. Again, I'm a rookie with this live stream stuff, so forgive me if I suck at it. Again, it's one of those skills. Just learning skills. All right. You've been open about your own challenges. Was there a moment that pushed you to finally share your story publicly? Sup, Luke? I see you. What's up, man? Great comments lately on the videos. I appreciate it too. Always like to see your comments. They're always very insightful and relatable too. So, let's see. Challenges. So again, I've been open about my own challenges. Was there a moment that pushed me to finally share my story publicly? Excuse me. I don't know about my story. I think it's a collection of stories in me that I'm sure will come out, because every video that I do, I always have some sort of way that I'm relating to it, obviously, or else I wouldn't be making the video. But I think I just got tired of just seeing in the media and in social media just the constant negativity and beatdown towards men. And I consider myself a good man, and I know other good men, but I also know really shitty men too. And I know really shitty women, and I know really shitty or really good women too. So like, I guess I just wanted to be a voice of reason and normalcy. Like, hey, like, not everything is these crazy extremes. And I also feel like there's a lot of issues that affect men uniquely, and I want to be able to talk about them. You know, like, it really sucks to open your like Instagram feed and see a picture of a woman holding a sign. I think it was a sign, holding a sign up that said, "Kill all men." And then looking underneath it and seeing that it had like 150,000 likes. Like, what? What is going on? Like, if you replace if you, in that sentence, "kill all men," if you replaced men with any other group of people, especially like a minority or a disadvantaged group, holy shit, you'd be crucified. So why is it okay to just openly shit on men? You know? So I wanted to sort of be a voice that represents men the way that I think we should be represented, and you know, maybe change some minds along the way, and then also for other men to be like, okay, cool, there are other normal men out there, and you know, other people are frustrated about these same things too. You know, I'm not the only one. So building a community around that would be pretty awesome. All right. Next question. If you had to compare YouTube to Jiu Jitsu, what belt level do you think you're at right now? I would say I'm probably at like a 4-stripe white belt. I think. I don't think I'm at a blue belt yet. So the way, for people that don't know, the way that the Jiu-Jitsu belt system works is white. So the belts, you start with a white belt, white, blue, purple, brown, black. There's 4 stripes at every belt until you hit black belt, and then it becomes absurd and whatever. But white belt, so you get 4 stripes, and then when you're ready for promotion, boom, you get a blue belt with no stripes, and then you go 4 stripes, blue belt, onto purple belt, etc. Right? I guess if I was to like really do it apples to apples, it takes about 10 years to get a black belt, and it takes about 1.5 to 2 years to get a blue belt. And I've only been doing this really since February or March, so I don't even know if I would be a 4-stripe yet. I might be like a 3-stripe white belt. That's funny. I should think of it that way though. That'll like help me not get ahead of myself. Like, because I always tell people in jiu-jitsu, like, hey, this is not a sprint. You know what I mean? This is a marathon. You're going to be doing jiu-jitsu because you love jiu-jitsu. You're going to be doing it for 10 years before you get a black belt. And then that's not the end. Hopefully you're training for many, many years. So yeah, you know, I just got to take it one day at a time. How many takes does it really take you to nail your intro? So my intro has kind of changed a little bit over the videos. You know, as I've gotten a little bit better at things. So when I first started, I didn't know how to edit really. So I had to try to do everything in one take. That's very hard. That's very hard to do everything in one take, especially as I started to tackle topics that were like quite involved, and my videos went from like 3 minutes to 10, 15 minutes. Doing it in one take was not an option anymore. And so the first couple videos, even like a 3-minute video, took me hours. And what would end up happening is I would have like a whole bunch of versions that I had, of that video that I tried. And so then I would go back through and I would like listen to the ones and I would like narrow it down to like 2 versions. And then finally the one that sounded the best would be the one that I would end up uploading. Now, thank God, I know how to edit things out and jump cut and stuff like that. Holy shit. Like, just remembering some of the frustrations. So then I have like a little bit of a format now where I introduce the topic. And then before I start talking about the topic, I do my intro of, like I say in all my videos, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy with something on his mind. Today, what's on my mind is, that's gotten easier. Sometimes I have to like do it a couple times to make sure the tone is right though, because, I don't want it to sound robotic, but overall, my intro does not take me that many times anymore. Thank God. I don't think I'd still be doing it. If I didn't know how to edit, I do not think I would still be doing it, because that would be it would be unsustainable for sure. All right. When you hit 1,000 subs, are you going to grow a victory mustache? Fuck no. Never doing a mustache again. Those that know me and, follow me on like some of my private social media, I did rock a mustache for a little bit. It was at the request of a girlfriend, and it was very odd. So she wanted me to grow a mustache, and I was like, all right, I'll try it. Like, I'm also one of those people that, like, I don't mind pushing fashion and style, like, a little bit, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't mind standing out a little bit, but I was like, okay, a mustache, let's try it. So then, yes, I did rock a mustache. Yeah. So, it's true, Luke. Very few can do it. But so here's the weird thing. Like, I thought it was okay. Like, I thought I looked all right. The nice thing about a beard, though, side note, nice thing about a beard, though, is as you get older, they never really tell you this, but you start your life learning how to shave when you just have one chin. But then as you age, you start having multiple chins. And I find that having a beard hides my chins. And so it just logistically works better for me, right? Anyways, so I was rocking this mustache, And I was expecting my girlfriend to like be normal and like act like she liked it or something. But anyways, she would say, I like you with a mustache. It makes you look like a douche. Huh? What? I don't even know how to take that. I still don't know how to take that. I was like, I kind of figured that like your significant other would want you to look good for them, but then also you want your significant other to look good, like so that when you're with them, I don't know, they represent you and your choice, I guess. You know, you want an attractive partner. And so when I was like, wait a minute, like you want me to have a mustache, not because you think it looks sexy, but because you like it because it makes me look like a douche. After she said that a couple times, I didn't shave it off. I actually just grew it back into the beard, and I was like, yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna I'm gonna be myself, you know? I was doing the mustache thing for you, and I don't want to look like a douche. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to look like a douche. So, yeah. I could rock a mustache, but no. Next question. This is talking about my jiu-jitsu students. Are your students forced to subscribe to your channel or they get extra burpees? No, they're not. I don't even know if most of them have any idea that I do this. I think some subscribe, but like so far it's been like fairly separated, you know, like it's just the way that it is. And so they definitely don't have to subscribe. I would love it if they did, but they don't have to subscribe, and they definitely don't have to do extra burpees if they don't subscribe. I can promise you that. Although that's a really good idea. Next question. What's more stressful, editing YouTube videos or rolling with a 250-pound wrestler who doesn't know what flow roll means? Hands down, it is more stressful rolling with a 250-pound wrestler that does not know what flow roll means. Absolutely. Because even as a black belt, that sounds like a nightmare. I'm only a 185 right now, and rolling with anybody that's like that big, that much bigger than me, even if they don't win or whatever, God, my body feels it the next day. I feel like I got hit by a car just because of the sheer amount of weight that just flops around on you, you know? But in this scenario, they're a wrestler, so they are not clueless to grappling. And a lot of times wrestlers have just like absolutely like crazy cardio. And so I don't. And that sounds horrible. Now, what would be more stressful if I went back to like I was talking about earlier about editing YouTube videos and trying to do them all in one take and not knowing how to do jump cuts and all that stuff? That would be pretty stressful. That would be pretty stressful. And then it wouldn't be like, what's more stressful? It would be like, which would I rather do? Let's put it that way. Which would I rather do? Be forced to film YouTube videos in one take, or roll with a 250-pound wrestler? If I only had to do one roll with the wrestler and it was like a 5-minute roll, I would hands down do that instead of having to be forced to do YouTube videos in one take. I'm telling you, that was kind of hell. So, looks like we're kind of getting sort of close to the end. So, and then like I said, after that, we'll move on. We'll watch some. We'll do some reaction videos and go from there. Yeah. Someone said, please submit the like button. Yes, submit the like button. Absolutely. All right. So, okay, they use the name of the town I live in, so I'm going to just skip that. So, this question, do you ever get recognized around the town you live in as that YouTube guy? No. Not exactly, but I forget sometimes, because here's the thing. When you put out a video and you push the link out to your different social medias and stuff like that, what ends up happening, and I forget this, people watch the video, but they don't like or comment or anything. So you don't know who watches your videos. And there's a lot of people that they lurk and they watch all your stuff, but you never know that they do. And so sometimes I'll be out in my bubble, my surrounding area, and somebody will say something like, hey, I just saw your last video, or like you said in that video. And I'm like, holy shit, like people are watching this. And sometimes it reminds me that like what I put out there is actually going somewhere, because that's a little bit of a weird thing that like I'm still not quite used to. Like I go over in this room and I film this video, and then I come in here and I sit down at this computer and I upload it and I push a button and it goes out. But nothing in my life changes. It doesn't feel significant. When I hit publish, that doesn't feel very significant. And so I forget that when I hit that button, other people are on the other end somewhere in the world consuming what I'm saying. And sometimes it's like a really shocking, like, oh, people are watching my videos. It's a little bit strange, but I don't mind it. But no one that I don't know yet has come up to me and said, hey, you're that guy. I mean, I only have 550 subscribers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that's going to happen, if it ever does, way further in the journey. That was a great question, though. Next question. Do you think society actually wants men to open up? Or do people just say that to sound supportive? That is great. That's a really good question. I think it's a fairly deep question, actually, because I think there's a lot of this in the world right now. And we'll just say it falls under virtue signaling. And I think when social media really took off, this concept of virtue signaling became a thing. And I won't say that only losers virtue signal. I won't say that. But I think for some, I think it is a way for all of the outsiders in society, like the group of kids in high school that all hung out in one area of the lobby and they were like kind of like the outcasts and stuff like that. Virtue signaling ends up being a way for people that don't have a lot of recognition and support in their own lives to post something online, and suddenly they become somebody because they get the feedback and the likes and the attention from all of those like-minded individuals for whatever cause that they're virtue signaling for. So, I think throughout time, men have really not naturally opened up about their emotions and their feelings and their problems and stuff like that. So there's the other thing on social media that I think happens quite a bit where people want to play the contrarian and they want to be the person that has the first opinion that differs from somebody else, right? So if a car drives by and 9 people agreed that car is colored black, you'll have that one motherfucker that's like, nah, actually, it's charcoal, right? And then it just spirals from there, you know? So when you combine the two, you have people being a contrarian online to get engagement and clicks and likes. And then you have people virtue signaling to, again, get clicks and likes. I think in this case, I don't really think most people go through their day thinking about how men should open up more. But goddamn, does it make a good article to write about, you know, in the New York Times or whatever. And then everybody can be like, actually, right? It's like, no. Now, there's a problem, obviously, because men are self-deleting themselves at a very high rate. So there is an issue. But I don't think it's just, oh, we need to open up more about it. You know, like, yeah, and then what? And then what? The problem needs to be solved. We literally cannot just talk about it. Like, we have to identify it, but then things need to be put in place to fix it. So I don't think really society wants that from men. I think they just want us to fix ourselves. Just fix ourselves, which is sad. This is a good question. Do you think feminism and men's advocacy could ever work together, or are they doomed to always clash? I don't think men's advocacy clashes with women. Like, if I'm advocating for men's mental health and, you know, support for like PTSD and you know, changes to the court systems and things like that, like, I think I am of the opinion that you can absolutely be pro men without being anti woman. However, I do not feel that current feminism is like that. I think it started off for equality, which I think most people nowadays are in support of. It went past equality and it started moving towards supremacy. And I think I don't feel like that's going to change, really. Because when one group starts to get some power, it's very difficult to give up power. And so, yeah, I kind of feel like men's advocacy will always be over here being like, hey, we have some problems. And then feminism will be holding up signs that says kill all men, you know? You've talked about Hollywood's portrayal of men. Do you think women are partly to blame for rewarding those bad boy types? Yes, I do. Because there's obviously something inherently attractive about these bad boy archetypes that women are drawn to. And I can't necessarily blame Hollywood for it because Hollywood is a business. No one makes a movie hoping no one watches it, right? That doesn't make any sense. So if you're making a movie and you're wanting the most sales as possible, you're going to cater to the audience that is consuming that product. And I don't know the statistics, but I think in large, women consume more media like that, like Netflix and rom-coms and those types of things. I think when men watch TV and stuff, they're usually like watching sports and whatnot, right? To some degree. I don't know the data, but maybe it is 50-50. I don't know. But I think it's more common that a woman forces their man to sit through a Twilight movie than a man forces their woman to sit through some, I don't know. I was going to say Top Gun too, but there's reasons women watch Top Gun. But you get my point. Like, it's not Hollywood's fault. They're pushing out a product that is selling and they're aiming it directly at women. The only problem is it really messes with the reality. The reality is we have a lot of problems around relationships and divorce rates and all that stuff. And Hollywood pushing these bad boys and playing into women's already like subconscious desire to like change men just makes more broken homes. I don't know how many women I could be like, yeah, of course that relationship didn't work out. I literally could have told you that 3 days into you telling me who you're dating. I know that guy's a douchebag. Why don't you know that guy's a douchebag? Or women that are like, they get with a guy who already has a kid with another woman, and they see that that guy is not a very good father to the child he already has. He's absent, doesn't put any effort in, always fighting with his ex or whatever. And then the current woman's like, let me have a kid with him. He'll be different with me. No, he won't. He will not be different. You literally had the evidence showing you what type of father and husband he is going to be. You had the blueprint, and you decided you were going to create another blueprint, and guess what? It didn't work out. I could have told you that. But Hollywood really pushes this, like, all a bad boy needs, all a broken man needs is a good woman. And then all the good women are like, I'll be that. And then it doesn't work out. So, yeah. I don't know if they're necessarily more to blame. But, yeah. What's one thing men secretly want in a relationship that women don't usually think about? Head scratches. We want our head scratched and our hair played with. Do you think social media has ruined modern dating for men more than for women? I think I want to say yeah, but it's different. So, okay. How do I want to? I'm going to try to approach this and there's some advanced kind of topics here, but I'm going to sort of try to wrap it up kind of quickly. There's this thing called hypergamy in women, and it's just how they are typically wired. Men have it too, but it's a little bit different for women, okay? So naturally, females always want to have their like best choice in a mate, right? Everybody wants their best choice in a mate, but it's a little bit more pronounced and it's a little bit more emphasized in females, because if you go back to, I don't even think you have to go back to caveman days, but like that wasn't very long ago. Let's just go back in this analogy to caveman days. There is a high tax on the female body when they become pregnant, obviously, right? We know that. But back in the caveman days, there was also high fatality. So there was a high rate or a risk that when a female gets pregnant back then, that they would not carry the baby to term and they could possibly die. So biologically, there's this drive to make sure that if they are going to get pregnant, it needs to be by the best man that they can possibly attain. Okay? Which makes complete sense. And it is not that crazy of a thing to say. Like I said, we all want to be with the best person that we can be with, right? So here's the problem with social media and what it has done. Throughout time, we have always been in small tribes, 20 people, 30 people, whatever. Even if you think like Amazonian tribes, right? They have a small group of people, and then several miles down the road, there's another group of people, another tribe, right? But it's like 30, 40 people, right? Okay. So back then, it was very easy for a woman to know that they were with the best man that they could get because there wasn't that many of them. They knew every single man out there in their life. And so when they selected the man to become their mate, that hypergamy drive was satisfied. Now, obviously, like as society got bigger and towns got bigger and all this stuff, this has always been a little bit of a problem. But now social media has made the dating pool global. So I think it becomes more difficult for a female to settle into a relationship and be happy and 100% satisfied and think that they have actually gotten the best person that they can get. Because we don't know every single person in the world. It's impossible to know. So it doesn't satisfy that hypergamy drive in them as much because there's always the possibility, what if there's somebody else better? What if I just hop on Tinder? What if there's somebody in France that is a better guy than the guy that I'm currently dating, right? So there's always that what if. And I think that has made it very difficult for men to compete with that. I might be the best person, the best male in my town, but that doesn't matter if they can just pick up their phone and talk to a guy in Dubai who's a millionaire and owns a yacht, right? If we rewind time a little bit more before social media and before cell phones and stuff like that, that guy in Dubai existed, yes. The woman in my town might have known that those types of guys exist, but there was no way for their lives to connect, at least as easily as it is now. Now, you have to be the best man in your town, but you also have to compete with every other man in the world because they could possibly slide in your woman's DMs, or, if things go bad or things are a little rough in your relationship and you hit a rough patch, the draw to pick up the phone and start searching for somebody else is always there. And I think that it just affects men. It does affect men and it does affect women. I just think it affects women a little bit differently. And then the side effect of that is negative for men. Either way, social media is not good for anybody, honestly. It's not good for young people. It's not good for relationships. You know, it's just really not good. So, speaking of this, if a man gets cheated on, why does society laugh at him instead of supporting him? Well, because remember, we talked about a man needing to be a woman's best option. And when you get cheated on, it is proof that you were not the best option, and therefore another man was better than you, at least in your woman's eyes. So it's very rare that when a man gets cheated on, society looks at him like a victim. That's like almost hardly ever happens. When a woman gets cheated on, she's by default the victim, and that man is an asshole and didn't know what he had and all that stuff, right? It just doesn't work the same way for men. It is like it's like carrying around a sign that says, yeah, there was another dude that was better than me, you know? Which is unfortunate. Last question. Seth, if you could give up either Jiu Jitsu or YouTube tomorrow, which one are you keeping? I'm keeping Jiu Jitsu. Jiu Jitsu has changed my life in so many different ways and in different times in my life too. Like there's been times like this is one of my like things that I talk about to people when we're talking about the jiu-jitsu journey, is when I started jiu-jitsu, it started off that I was doing it to learn self-defense, right? But then like after a year and a half, you know, when you get your blue belt, you're pretty good when it comes to self-defense. And there's also like the odds of you ever having to use it in self-defense are pretty low, right? So it's good to know for self-defense, but really there needs to be a bigger reason to do it. And I think a lot of people, when they feel that they can defend themselves, they sort of check out of it and they're like, okay, I'm done with that. I've reached that goal. But if you do jiu-jitsu, you need to allow it to ebb and flow and breathe and grow in different ways. So like I said in the beginning, it was self-defense. But then there was a period where like I competed for a little bit. And then in order to compete, you have to be in shape. So then it became about, I used jiu-jitsu to lose weight and get in shape. And then there was low points in my life where I used it as a social network. I would go to jiu-jitsu, not even really to get better. I was just going to be around people, to hang out with my friends, to take my mind off of everything else that was off the mats. You know, and so like, if you only look at jiu-jitsu through this one little lens, it can only do so much for you. But if you let it be whatever you need it to be, it can be something that can help you through every stage in life, through your entire life. I feel like there's probably going to be a point where I'm too old to roll anymore, you know, but I will still most likely show up and hang out and be around people that still like jiu-jitsu and doing, you know, the sport that I like to do as well. So, yeah. That was awesome. That was some really good questions. Some of them were funny. Some of them were deep. Some of them, you know, I like that. That was like a good mix. So, all right. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to jump into some React videos. And the way that's going to work is, if I'm sure you've seen some React videos before, I've queued up some videos that I have either not seen or I've seen enough to be like, okay, I want to react to this on stream, so I'm gonna like save my reaction. I think the first one is a funny one, but I gotta piss real quick, so I'm gonna piss, and then when I get back, we'll react to some videos. Don't go anywhere. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I washed my hands. Obviously. Not a savage. Okay, let me see. Let me see. All right. How's the stream doing? Nice. Quality looks good. Looks pretty decent. What do you think, Luke? You ready to react? Watch some funny videos? Editor, make sure you cut the part out where I pissed. Just kidding, I don't have an editor. That was me. I will cut that out. All right, let's do this. All right. First one I think is a funny one.
2 words. Entrepreneur.
Make sure I pause this. All right, this one is called Guys with Entrepreneur in Their Bio. I kind of just felt like this was probably a little bit relevant, so make sure the settings are good here. All right, let's go.
Entrepreneurship. It's not called living with your parents if you pay them rent.
Are me and Ty Lopez boys?
Did you get my Venmo, Dad? Good, I didn't send it. Ty Lopez parks in my garage.
Me? A drinking problem?
It's called networking.
So what if I don't know how to spell entrepreneur? You know what I do know how to spell? Tesla.
Oh my God.
T-E-S-T-L-A-W.
Being broke is a mindset.
My girlfriend's also
Yeah, all right, yeah. This is so funny because like, so this whole like entrepreneur thing, right? I don't want to throw shade on anybody, but there's 2 things that I noticed when as I got older. 3 things, okay? As I got older, I realized that a lot of women get sucked into multi-level marketing. And they think that they're going to be able to work from home and be an entrepreneur because they're like selling you this like really shitty like drink mix that's going to rejuvenate you and give you all this energy. And so then they're like self-employed and then like the multi-level marketing business. And you're like, what the fuck is that? And then you go and you look and you're like, oh my God. This is like Amway. Like my mom sold Amway in the 80s and like women are still falling for it. Then fast forward a little bit, everyone became a photographer. They all had a photography business. And then the most recent thing is a cleaning service. At least in my area. Because in my area, there's like a lot of camps and like not too far away is like rich people have camps on lakes and stuff like that. So then, you know, Yeah, I guess you're an entrepreneur. Like, you clean windows and toilets, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know if I'd call it being an entrepreneur. So being broke as a mindset is pretty fucking funny.
Also an entrepreneur. She sells vitamins and supplements. Keyword sells. GNC. You heard of it? TES.
I mean, the Girl Scouts, their business model is outdated.
TESLAW. Note, is there W?
Should I go live on my Instagram?
No.
I'm gonna go live on my Instagram.
No.
Fired up. So fired up.
I'm going live.
Spell Tesla. BMW.
Good morning, Instagram.
He's like manifesting it. BMW.
Monday motivation out there. Just because you have dreams doesn't mean you have to sleep on your dreams. Out there are dreams, and dreams are reality, and we are living in a constant state of reality. So go out there and chase your dreams, but don't chase them too fast, because you might fall. But if you fall, get back up. And when you get back, oh, I got somebody in the chat room. How's it going, Mark? Hey. All right, see you later, Mark.
Oh, have you met Entrepreneur?
The only coworker I need is Adderall.
Yep, I can flip.
Oh my god, this guy's hilarious. And you know what, I think I'll do a video about this, like, probably at some point, because it does tie into the manosphere type thing. But there's this like the Andrew Tates of the world, right? Like these alpha males. And I guess it really just shows you, like, men are lost right now because we're looking at them as role models. But it's this thing, like, be alpha, and one of the ways to be alpha is, like, have a bunch of businesses and make a lot of money. But then, like, on the other side of the camera is a guy like this telling you how to get girls and be rich.
That for $38. I haven't slept in 26 hours. How do you think I feel? Top of the world. Thinking about getting these bad boys tatted. ENTERPRIZE. Enterprise?
I wasn't sleeping. I was dreaming about success. Something you wouldn't know about.
Andrew Tate holds his hands, like, in a certain way too.
ENTREPREE. Entrepreneur.
You think I have time for food? The only thing I grind is my workload, not my teeth. The grind is real. BMW.
Oh my god. The whole grind, like, I know certain people really get motivated by, like, Jocko and David Goggins and stuff like that. Hey, if you get motivated by this, like, the whole grind harder, you're a bitch if you sleep people, that's fine. Whatever helps you hit your goals. However, I do find it to be a little ridiculous.
3 Series, cup holder, air conditioning. I come to this park to network. Who's trying to buy some shrooms?
Have I seen Wolf of Wall Street?
What about HUSTLER? Hustler! Exclamation point. You got cash? Okay, good. Just don't tell your mom you bought this from me. I will see you at your baseball game tomorrow, okay? Just sold an 8th grader mushrooms. What are you doing with your law degree, Derek?
I knew Jordan Belfort before Wall Street.
You're too young. You're 25.
25 sales deep.
Your child is an honor student? My child owns and operates the most successful lemonade franchise in all of Los Angeles. You're not seeing the big picture, Grandma. It's a dating app mixed with Uber. It's called Fender.
BMW.
Oh my god.
If you want in, let me know, stat.
He's,
I
like,
have other
manifesting
clients,
it.
AKA family members, on the line waiting to get in. I gotta go. Uncle Rick's calling. Uncle Rick, tell me the good news. You're in?
BMW.
Oh my god.
Perfect.
I love
How
the
does
hand
10%
thing.
sound? Uncle Rick,
It's
you're
so
out?
subtle,
I
but
said 5%, not 10%.
it's perfect.
And that's the problem, is nobody has enough grind and hustle in their DNA to really get after it. Because if you really want it, you gotta get after it. And you gotta tell whoever's in front of you that you will knock them down, because nothing will stand between you and your entrepreneurship. Do you understand really what I'm trying to say back there?
Thanks for the ride, Parkview.
BMW.
So you wanna invest? Entrepreneurship.
Oh my god. That was awesome. This guy's pretty funny. I mean, like after the live stream, I'm gonna link all these videos and stuff like that. But that was hilarious because he was like blending in a whole bunch of stuff, like the fake alpha male thing with the fake entrepreneur, like, oh, I own a bunch of businesses and I'm making a whole bunch of money. And then the hand thing that Andrew Tate does, I think he actually does this, but maybe it's trademarked or something. Who the fuck knows? But that was hilarious. It's also really funny with the BMW thing. It plays into the whole manifesting thing, which is, it's a little woo-woo-y for me. In my mind, manifesting something really is just you like set a goal and like you think about your goal, so then you naturally do things to get you towards your goal. But the whole manifesting it and like making a vision board and whatever, like as long as you don't think there's something mystical about doing that, I'm fine with it. But when you're thinking that like Mercury is in retrograde, so your Pinterest bulletin board is going to get you the BMW, you lost me. All right, the next one. So let's see. The next one is a little bit more serious. So this is like a little, this is current topic, and it's in the news right now, or at least on the socials right now. So I'll kind of set it up a little bit. There's a guy named Rampage Jackson who is an ex-UFC fighter, or retired UFC fighter, and retired Pride fighter. So he's an MMA guy. He has a son whose name is Raja. And recently, Raja pretty much almost killed a man in a fake, well, it was not fake. It was a WWE style wrestling event. So the event was real, but what they were doing is fake wrestling, right? So it's staged. It's a story. So I'll give you a little bit of the back piece to it, and then we'll watch what happened. And then what I want to key in on though is we're gonna watch a clip of Rampage talking about what his son did, and we're gonna sort of like look at that and react to his reaction from a father's perspective, and we'll kind of talk about that. So anyways, there was some sort of an amateur wrestling event. Raja was streaming on Kick and was backstage, walking around, right? And another amateur wrestler, and when I say amateur, I mean like they're not in WWE. I don't know if there's like they're actually a pro or not. But anyways, another wrestler's backstage and working still, almost like getting content, right? Like working a bit, like a storyline, etc. He mistakenly thought that Raja was another wrestler and approached him and started like this fake conflict with him, right? Thinking again, it was part of a story because he sees this guy backstage with all other wrestlers who are working the event, walking around. And since Raja was streaming on Kick, somebody with a camera was following him. So this wrestler thought Raja was another wrestler. And so he walks up and he starts this like corny, like, you know, I don't know, like Hulk Hogan used to do, like, you don't know me, brother, or whatever. And he grabs this prop, which is like a beer can or a bottle, but it was like very similar to like what Stone Cold used to have, right? Like they're made for wrestling. It's not a real bottle. It's not a real can. And he does like the fake, like hit him over the head thing. And you can see like it doesn't even, like Raja doesn't even like really move, but the can breaks and some fake beer goes on him. And Raja's like, what the fuck, or whatever. Well, after that, the wrestler realized that Raja was just a person, just a spectator. He apologized to him, explained, "Hey, I thought you were working the event. Apologized, didn't mean anything by it, you know." And they said, "Hey, it's all good." him and Raja shook hands, and that was it. That wrestler goes out to actually do his wrestling match, and Raja goes to the edge of the ring, and he's still streaming, and he's telling his chat that he's going to get in there and he's going to fuck this guy up. And he says blatantly that he's going to like hurt him, you know, not fake wrestle. He's not going to get in there and he's not going to like pin the guy or whatever. He is saying like, if you, how many subs do I need to like knock the guy out? Chat, if you give me 50 subs, I'll go in there and knock him out. Like, I'm going to hurt him, right? That was how he was saying this. So then he goes into the ring, and the clip that I'm going to show you is what happened, right? With the altercation inside the ring. You'll see that one of the wrestlers thinks it's fake. It thinks it's part of the thing. You know what I mean? Like, because at one of these events, people come in with fake chairs and the referees or whatever, and it's kind of like controlled chaos, right? Anyways, so this is what happens, okay? I'll warn you, it's pretty graphic. I'm gonna see if I can tee it up appropriately here.
Yellow, right on the shoulder, slam.
I'm gonna mute it so I don't listen. So you can see, dude is knocked out, okay? He's knocked out. A little slow-mo there. Look how many hits. Boom, 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 boom. This is not fake. Not fake. The other wrestlers realize, like, this is not fake, what is going on. That other wrestler jumps in to break it up. The dude's cameraman is... The view you're seeing is Raja's live stream on Kick, right? So the guy in the white t-shirt is Raja. The other wrestler is, like, literally trying to hold him down until, like, security gets in there. The other guy is unconscious still. He's unconscious because of what this guy did. So the rest of it's, you can see he's like still trying to fight people, etc. Like, so I just want to play that part again, and then we'll skip to Rampage, which was the guy at the end of the video talking about this. So what you're seeing at the beginning of this clip here is right after Raja, the guy in the white shirt and black pants, he ran in there. And the guy he has picked up right now is the wrestler who had the mistake earlier, right? And so he thinks this is just part of the act. So he kind of fights the guy picking him up a little bit, but he lets it happen because it's wrestling. Like, he's like, I don't know, I'm just going to go with it, okay? So again, I don't want you to focus on the guy got knocked out with this slam. And then you see this Raja guy. I want you to look at how many punches to this guy's face happened before people realize that, like, this is not fake and this is real and something's happening. Boom. So he got knocked out right there. And then he boom, 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 boom. Still trying. Boom. He's literally just beating the piss out of this guy who's unconscious. And he just fucking shook this guy's hand backstage and said everything was all good moments before. What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit. Like, before we go into the next thing, like, that's some unhinged behavior. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Well, turns out, Rampage Jackson, it seems anyways, has sort of like bullied his son for years and you know, gives him shit about being soft and gay and all this stuff. Clearly I say kid, he's 24, 25 now when this happens. He's clearly not very intelligent, right? And he has some issues. That is not a normal reaction that somebody has. That's not a normal reaction at all. The fact that he punched him in his face that many times is insane. I guess it took the other guy a long time to wake up. He's lost most of his teeth. I believe he went into the ICU for like brain swelling, all this stuff. There's a video clip afterwards of this Raja guy because he like kind of flees the scene. And the promoter's like, calls him. He's like, what the fuck, man? Like, you pretty much like killed that guy. And he was just like, my bad. Like, I'm tired of people messing with me. I ain't no bitch. Like, just all of, when we talk about masculinity, all of that is like the type of masculinity that is retarded. Like, caring that much about what other people think of you, for one thing, is some insecure little bitch shit. That has nothing to do with a man. If you're a man and you care that much about other people thinking that somebody else like made you look like a fool or whatever, and you are that insecure that you get in the ring and do that to somebody, you are a little bitch. Because normal men don't do that. That's not normal. So now, the next clip, let me just cue it up here and let it marinate for a second. So, all right. So the next clip here is interviewing, I think it's like a couple days later, interviewing Rampage Jackson about what happened. And I want to switch and I want to look at it from the point of view that if that was your son that just did that, what would your reaction be? That's how I want to look at it. And I also want to like weigh in on the fact that clearly Rampage was not a good father. And we'll see if he takes any accountability with that. All right. So again, this is Rampage.
Rampage Jackson goes live and addresses Raya's incident. Rampage Jackson went live for the first time since Raya's incident, condemning his son and consoling the wrestler.
You know, it's hard for me to talk about it, but you know, I'm just keeping 100. You know, I feel bad about what happened to Psycho Stu. I don't condone what my son did.
Psycho Stu is the other wrestler, the guy that got knocked out, got his teeth all bashed in, and concussion. I'm glad he doesn't condone what his son did.
At all. Very, very unfortunate. If I was there, things would have went down, but you know what I'm saying? I wasn't there. I'm a father, so you know, I gotta have my son's back, but I'm gonna let justice, you know, play out, take its course.
So here's the thing. I understand as a father, you're not going to say anything that would like affect your son criminally in court. You know what I mean? So you can only condemn the actions to a certain point. But clearly, as a father, you have fucked up so bad somewhere along the way that your son could grow up to be a man that would do something like this. And that's the part that I think gets glossed over. You know, is Rampage at fault criminally for what his adult son did? No. But I have to feel, or I have to think that if you were to go back through this Raja guy's childhood, I doubt that Rampage was really around much and didn't teach him very good things, you know, good qualities of how to be a man. And so I do think we're seeing an unhinged person doing some very unhinged things. But if we go back far enough, I think we can at least see why this person turned out to be the way that they are and how important it is to have good father figures, male role models that are around, that are in the child's life, and also don't act like that. And here's the weird part, or like the little bit of like the difficult part, is Rampage was an MMA fighter. So when he looks at his dad, he sees his dad doing that same thing to countless other men, but it was in a sport. It was a fight. They were fighting. It was agreed upon. But you kind of wonder if in a child's brain, it doesn't really connect and make sense the same if the effort is not put in by the parents to say, listen, this is dad's job. This is what he does. I know it looks violent, but this is agreed upon. This is a sportsman thing. You know, teach him about sportsmanship and all that stuff, right? Rampage Jackson was literally known for power bombing his opponents like Raja did to that other guy and knocking them out. Except there was a ref there that stopped it afterwards, right? He didn't tee off on the guy for 25 more strikes to the face after he knocked him unconscious. So it just bothers me because possibly this could have been avoided if there was more accountability on Rampage's part when he was a father to Raja. And accountability in our society nowadays is like kryptonite for more people, for most people. And it's just so annoying. But anyways, let's see what else Rampage has to say.
Ain't much I can do on that side, but be a father. Y'all know I can't talk about that shit. I can't talk about any details and stuff like that. I can't really go into nothing. I hope y'all can respect that. The shit put me in like a bad mood, you know what I'm saying? I feel bad about
obviously
Psycho Stu and his family. His family had to see that. I'm not, taking up for my son or anything like that. I'm just telling you guys facts, you know what I'm saying? But I'm doing what any father would do is being a father in hard moments like this. Sometimes you're proud of your kids and sometimes you're not proud of your kids, but at the end of the day, you're still a father.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day I can...
At the end of the day, you still have some responsibility on your shoulders for whatever your kid ends up doing.
And shake his hand and have a man-to-man with him and stuff like that. But who knows? But that I don't condone Roger's conduct. And I hope Psycho Stu can forgive me, myself, as a dad.
Yeah. There's some accountability there.
For
Say
not
it.
Understanding everything,
Say it.
you know what I'm saying? And let's see what happens from here.
Daniel
Kinda.
Cormier schools young
He kinda said it, but not really. Not really. And then now Rampage has actually gone on to sort of deflect the whole thing and talk about all this apparent death threats and racism that he's gotten. It's always really easy for public figures to claim death threats and racism, but they're never asked to show the proof. Show me the racist comments. Show me the death threats. Because it's really easy to say a bunch of this stuff and try to flip it and all of a sudden make yourself a victim. Oh, people are sending me death threats. People are being so racist to me. If they are, that's wrong. That's not cool. However, are they really doing that? And how much are they doing that? Is it really that big of an issue? You know, that type of thing. Because it's like, those death threats and racist things are happening potentially, but then you have the actions of your son that happened for sure. That already happened. His actions already played out. So don't make it about stuff that might be. Let's talk about stuff that is. You know what I mean? Let's keep it about what happened for sure. It's like trying to splinter it off, you know, and it's annoying. Like it just shouldn't be that way. You know, and even if people are racist, that's not cool. Like people shouldn't be racist, exactly. But that doesn't exonerate the actions that somebody actually did, right? There's a difference between if somebody's like, I'm going to kill you, and then another person does kill you. ones didn't happen. One did happen. You know what I mean? Like, why do we get so off track? It's like such a distraction. It's like, oh, racism. Don't look over here. Racism. Don't look over here. You know? And if it's happening, again, not cool. But I don't really care about that as much as I care about what actually happened. And what actually happened was not racist. It was a fucking unhinged person beating up an innocent person. And that's, you know, it ain't cool, man. It ain't cool. So let's move on to the next one. I think the next one is a little bit more of a chill one, but
Jimmy
yeah.
Carr, good.
All right, so the next one's going to be much more wholesome, better vibe, more positivity. Okay. This video is by Chris Williamson, he's like my man crush. You know what I mean? Like, if you could have a hall pass with a man crush, I wouldn't do anything sexual. I'd just be like, teach me how to be more smart, Chris, because the man's a genius. He's obviously good looking and has a killer accent, so I'm sure I'm a little jealous of that too. So, anyways, this video is called "What Would You Tomorrow Want You Today to Do?" That's a little tongue twister, Chris. So, I think this is going to be like philosophical and hopefully
good friend,
insightful.
One on Wisdom guest multiple times over. And he brought this idea up to Rogan when he was on Rogan's show that him and me had been working on for a little while. And it's the 24-hour you. And this is one of the best questions, I think, to ask yourself when faced with a decision, which is, what would you tomorrow want you today to do? And this is something I've relied on for years to help me get perspective and make better choices. And the reason it's so effective, I think, is it rips you out of the present moment. It stops you from relying so heavily on the confused chemical signals coming from your body. Instead, it gives you a bit more distance. It depersonalizes the decision, helps you treat yourself like a friend you're responsible for helping. In Peterson language.
That's actually a really good point there. There was actually a song that I liked. I forget who sings it now. But, I think Beartooth. Bear Claw. I think Beartooth. But the song is basically about, like, if you talk to a friend the way you talk to yourself, that shouldn't be a bad thing, right? Like, if you can't speak to a friend the way you internally speak to yourself, then you are being too hard on yourself. You're not being kind to yourself. And it doesn't mean like let yourself get away with a whole bunch of shit. Like, no, let yourself be accountable still, but don't beat yourself up. Don't say mean shit to yourself in your head if you wouldn't say it to a friend. You should be your own friend. And I think that is what this is all about.
It forces you to optimize for long-term thinking instead of immediate gratification. And it reminds you that ultimately, decisions are not being made for you now. They're being made for you in 24 hours and 24 days and 24 months. You can see our decisions are investments that we make into our future.
I like that.
And the more ruminative and deep of a thinker that you are, the more you need to make decisions for your future self, not yourself right now. Does that make sense? So optimizing to gratify your desires in the moment at the expense of the way that you will feel and the story you will tell yourself about yourself in the future is rarely a good deal, because you live with the story of your decisions for far longer than the impact of them.
Yeah.
So you have to choose wisely. And we don't have crystal balls to see into the future, but this is about as close to a tool of clairvoyance as I can think of.
That's very important. And I know it's like a little bit of a heady topic, and a little bit confusing, but I think what he's trying to say mostly, and this is so important, is like, we make decisions based on the information that we have at hand. And then we see how it plays out, and we evaluate the end result. It's like the hindsight 2020, right? That whole saying. So if you make a decision based on what you had for information here, and then it plays out, and you end up here, and it's not as good as you wanted it to be, you shouldn't beat yourself up for it in a negative way. You should grow from it and you should learn from it, but you can't hold it against yourself. You didn't know how things would play out. So don't stay stuck in that moment for so long. He might not be exactly saying that. He might have a way better way of putting it, but what I say, I think is true.
In fact, I can't think of a single decision which would be worse if I actually did what I wished I'd done 24 hours later. And I can't imagine if all you did was things that you wanted to do now, but you in the future would regret. That is just a direct path toward misery. That sounds like hell. It's a guaranteed way to make decisions that you're going to have to not only live with the consequences of, but for even longer than that, you're going to have to live with the story that you tell yourself about being the kind of person who made that sort of decision. And again, especially if you are a introspective, reflective, ruminative sort of person who's going to think about the things that you do and tell yourself a story about what that means, you need to be very, very careful about what you invest into that future story of you.
Yeah.
Because the negativity bias is a hell of a drug. And if you have a predisposition to think of yourself as a bit of a piece of shit. You will permanently be scouting for any excuse to fit your prior to that. Oh yeah, I knew I was always going to do that thing.
See, I knew
I've
I
not
was a
changed
piece
at
of
all. This
shit.
proves to me that I'm not the person I thought I was. Decisions are as much about the sort of person that you will tell yourself that you are for having made the decision as the actual impact of the decision itself. What would you tomorrow want you today to do?
I like
Pretty
that.
bulletproof, but difficult, right? Very difficult to do because it gives you pretty much nowhere to hide. There's essentially nowhere to hide at all. And when you do make bad decisions, it's on you.
Yeah.
Before we continue, if your sleep's not been right, you're taking a...
So I think that is something that I think a lot of people fall prey to, and that is, it goes back to what I was saying, like you have to talk nice to yourself, hold yourself accountable, but hopefully you don't think you're a piece of shit, you know? And if you do think you're a piece of shit, then there's work to be done. Like take that as your sign that you need to do some internal work until like you're friends with yourself, you know? Because we cut our friends a lot more grace a lot of times than we do ourselves. And that's not the way it should be. Because guess what? We have to live with ourselves for the rest of our lives. Friends come and go. We want to be friends with ourselves because ourselves are going to be the only one that sticks through this whole journey that we have. So you might as well make amends with yourself so that you can stand your own company. Because there's going to be a time when there's no one else around. It's just you. Whether that's when you're 80 or after you've gone through a bad breakup, you know, maybe you've moved to a new city and it doesn't work out as well as you wanted to and you have no friends, all that stuff. You have to be your own friend. Bottom line. Let me look at what's next. I want to do one more that's like fairly serious, and then we'll call it there, because we've been going for what, an hour, almost 2 hours now. Yeah, almost 2 hours. No, you know what? I think I'm gonna call it there, because the next couple videos that I have in the queue are like 15 minutes long each, and they're kind of serious topics. And after we went over the Raja beating the piss out of somebody, I don't want to end on a little bit of a melancholy note, right? You know, it's celebration, bitches. Hit 500. I think it's awesome. So obviously, if you're watching this, you're a subscriber. But if somehow you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, share, all that stuff. This was a lot of fun, so I think I am going to do this more often. So I'm going to shoot for next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time again, but it will be, I won't do all the Q&A stuff that we did at the beginning. It will be pretty much just chat with people like I did this time, and then head right into reaction videos like we did, and, you know, react to like 4 or 5 each stream, that type of thing. So, yeah, thank you very much for everybody that contributed to the conversation and stuff, or sent in those questions. I really appreciate it. That was very fun to answer those questions. So, yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate you.